Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video in the Kotlin series. In this video, I'll teach you how to provide arguments to the main function. Alright everybody, welcome back. So up to this point, I've showed you guys in every program to use a main function. This is going to be the entry point to your program so that your program knows where to start running code. And there's actually one little modification you can make to it. So what you can do is have it accept an optional list of arguments or an optional array of arguments that your program can use to do stuff with. So all you have to do is go into here inside the parentheses and do args array. You're just declaring it as an array type and then string. Now, like I told you before, we're going to learn more about functions in the future, but just know for now, this is how you provide data into a function. In this case, we're providing an array of strings into our main function here, okay? So it's just an array of strings called args. So whenever you run a Kotlin program, you can provide a list of arguments to it. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can give it some arguments like names, numbers, just any information that your program can consume and do something with. So in this case, they're going to be all inputted as strings, but those strings can be converted into whatever data type you need for whatever purpose your program is serving. So when your program starts up, this could be empty, just like every program we've written at this point, we're not actually providing any arguments to it, so it's always going to be empty. But if you want to provide arguments to a Kotlin program, to do that, all you have to do is, first of all, just go ahead and run the program one time, and that's just so it'll add it up here to the configuration. I'm sure there's another way to do that, but that's just an easy way of doing it. And then once it's done, you can go up here now and you can see the name of the file that you're working with. Click it and do edit configurations. And then it's already been pre-selected for you, but these are also the other files within our project. But if we just go down here to program arguments, you can then provide a list of arguments that your program will have whenever it starts up. So in this case, we could say a name like Billy Bob Jenkins. So this will be a single argument that we provide to our program. So click apply, and then you can click run or OK. So I'm going to click OK. And if we run this now, nothing is going to be different. We have no code inside of our main function, so nothing is going to happen. But behind the scenes, now this args array is going to have the value of Billy Bob Jenkins within it. So we can do something like print line args 0. So let's go ahead and see what this does. And there we go, we get Billy Bob Jenkins. So this is because we're accessing the array, the args array, which is the arguments that we provide to our program. And this is just going to be the first one that we're accessing. And since we only provided one argument in the first place, it'll just be Billy Bob Jenkins, and then we print it out, okay? Very, very simple. But if you want to, you can provide any number of arguments, and these will just be added as further elements into the list. So we can say Billy Bob Jenkins, Cody Simpson, you can say 1, 2, 3, you can say ABC, you can provide as many arguments as you need. So if you run this again, you should still get Billy Bob Jenkins, but we can also do, let's say we do element 4, because it's 0 based, it should be ABC. There we go, we get ABC. Now up to this point, I've shown you how to create this main function just by doing main and then press tab. But if you want to do a main function with arguments, you can do main A and then press tab. And now you have the main function with the arguments array provided to it automatically. So a very simple shortcut that you can do if you want that. And so let's make this a little more complex. We could say something like if args.isEmpty, and we could say print line, please provide a name as a command line argument. So these are called command line arguments, by the way. And so we're going to have an else. We'll say otherwise, if it's not empty, if the args array is not empty, this means that they obviously must have provided something. So we're going to take the first one in the list, or in the array rather, and print it out. So we're going to say something like hello. And we're going to do a little string interpolation here. So we're going to say args 0 and then exclamation mark after that. So let's run this now and see what we get. And there we go, we get hello Billy Bob Jenkins. So we know that it's working because if we go back to our configuration here, we are providing those 4 arguments, and Billy Bob Jenkins is the first one. So if we say Cody Simpson, and you may have noticed that the spaces are significant when you're providing arguments, it's just because that's just how it tells, elements apart from one another. So if you put a space, that's how you say, oh, this is one element, this is another element, and this is a third element, and so on. So that's why I was doing it. Just if I go back here, this is why they're all together in the names. So hopefully you picked up on that, why there's spaces in between these different things here. So if I just do Cody and click apply and then click run, it should say hello Cody, and yes it does. Awesome. So you may have been wondering, what's the use of providing arguments to my Kotlin programs? And it's really just to make your programs a little more advanced, and you can also make them accept input from the user. So up to this point, every variable that we've created has been hard-coded into the actual program code. So if we accept program arguments, the arguments can be different depending on when you run the program. So whenever we run the program, we can provide a new list of arguments for the program to consume and do something with. So as an example, let's say that I want to make a calculator application, right? If I want to make a simple application that adds two numbers, up to this point, I would do something like maybe val num1 is equal to 5 and val num2 is equal to 6. And then I would do print line num1 plus num2. Now this is cool and all, this is a very simple program that would add two numbers, but the thing is that these are hard-coded values. So this program really doesn't add any number, it only adds the numbers that you specify when you code it. So if you wanted to have a program that adds different numbers, you'd have to recode it and change these numbers to different numbers. However, if we have a program that accepts arguments, the arguments is just a simple array here, and then the program consumes the array to grab the values from the array, not knowing what the values are ahead of time. So this means that you can run the program to add any numbers that you provide to it. So let me just give you an example here. So we'll say something like, if args.size is not equal to 2, then we're going to go ahead and say print line, please provide two numbers as command line arguments. So otherwise, if the size of the array is equal to 2, we could do val num1. So to grab the first number, we can simply do args 0. And then now this is a string, right? Because we're grabbing it from an array of strings. So we want it as a number because, to add two strings would just be concatenation, but we want to actually add two numbers and get the sum of those numbers, right? And we know that this is a string, and to all strings you have this method called toInt. And toInt, if we do control Q here, says parses the string as an int number and returns the result. And then otherwise, if the string is not a valid number representation, it will throw a number format exception. And if you remember from the arrays episode, exceptions are errors, so we don't really want those. We want to avoid exceptions. But just for now, we don't really know how to deal with exceptions and, safeguard against them, so we're just going to call this and hope that it's a actual number. So what this will do is just simply take the string and try to convert it to an int, right? So now we're going to do val num2 is equal to args1 to get the second one, and also try and convert that to an int as well. Now that we have these two numbers here, we can go ahead and try adding them. So we say val sum is equal to num1 plus num2. So we could do num1 plus $num2 is equal to sum. So this will print out the operation into the console and give the sum as well. So now let's go ahead and test this program out. So we're going to need to go and change the arguments again to provide two numbers. So change it from Cody to, let's say, 4 and 8. So 4 and 8 are our input, or arguments rather. Click OK. And now if we run this again, we get 4 plus 8 is equal to 12. So it's working perfectly actually. So what is happening here is that whenever this program is run, we're providing those arguments to it, 4 and 8. And so whenever it enters the main function here to start running our code, this args array will be provided, and it will have the two strings which are representing our two arguments that we provided, okay? So we're going to do if args.size is not equal to 2, we're going to say please provide two numbers as command line arguments because we need two numbers to actually do what we're trying to do here. So if this is false, we can assume two numbers are provided. So otherwise, we're going to go ahead and try and get the first argument and convert it to an integer, and then get the second one and convert it to an integer, and then we're going to go ahead and add them together. So num1 plus num2, and now we're going to print out the result. So we're going to say num1 plus num2 is equal to the sum variable. Awesome. So the benefit of this program versus the one that we had before with the hard-coded values is that this program can add any number that we provide to it as arguments to the program when we run it. This is a more dynamic program because it doesn't rely on hard-coded values, it relies on just the user input when we run the program. So I think that's pretty cool and pretty powerful, and hopefully that illustrates why arguments are a useful thing in the first place. So that is how you provide arguments to your programs. Stay tuned for the next episode, everybody. So that's it for this video, everybody. I really hope you learned something new. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Make sure to also check the description below for important links to code and other resources, but also really important, join our Discord. We have a big community of over 5,000 programmers, and it's a place where you can find new friends or get help on any code that you're stuck on. If you want to support what I do on this channel, please consider hitting the join button below, and this will allow you to support my channel for as low as $1 a month, but there are different tiers to choose from if you want to. For anyone that becomes a member on my channel, you get a special rank on my Discord server, early access to new videos, and you can just see yourself on the screen right now. So if that sounds cool to you, feel free to join. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you can't, that's okay too. I really just appreciate you watching the video anyway. Thank you so much. And that's it. Peace.